flawless fashion CO.
That's awesome. So all of the things across the board, I'm so excited that you were
Yes.
on today. I can't wait to have a follow-up conversation. I know we talked about it already, that we're going to talk about all the things. So thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure and super inspirational. I hope you have an amazing day. And I am Jen Potter. I'm the host of Networking Now. Thank you so much for joining us.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Hi, I'm Vicki Wright Hamilton, and welcome to Ignite. Are you ready to spark your passion and fuel your leadership journey? This is where ambition meets action and transformation begins. Let's light the fire and keep it burning. I am so excited today. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest, Miss Taylene Raman Figueroa, and she is from Boss Diplomat. Welcome.
Hey, what's up? Hi, Vicki. So great to meet you. I love your energy. So much fire.
Oh, well, thank you so much. When I saw Boss Diplomat, the first question I have to ask is, where did that name come from? It is so defining.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, let's get to the other part, my accent. So I'm originally from London in the UK, and I am a trained diplomat. I was a trained diplomat for 15 years, but I decided not to work with my government because I don't know if you know this, Vicki, but working in government, there's a lot of ethical dilemmas. So I became an entrepreneur first after my mentor, who's a British ambassador, said, you can do so much more than just serve as a civil servant. You should be working with politicians and diplomats on their personal brand because you have the personality for it, you have the skills and expertise, and you know how to read people really, really well. So that's all he had to say. And then boom, my business started. So this is before Boss Diplomat. And then, of course, I moved to the US, and I thought, what the heck do I do here? And that's when I realized, wow, Americans, I don't think you know this, but your country is full of business owners, people who are so passionate about what they can bring to the table and the impact they make. But your personal brands need some help. And that's what I decided to fill that gap.
Fantastic. So, one of the things that I love as I was, looking at your work and what you do is really your perspective on what is a personal brand. Will you share that with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of business owners are guilty of this. So you really, really do care about the work that you do. You wouldn't have started a business if you didn't care about this and you didn't think that you could do it better than somebody else, right? Because you're putting a lot of yourself into this. But Vicki, many of these business owners, you guys are invisible. You're like a ghost in your business. You're working behind the scenes, and then you put your entire team in front of you and then use that awful word called we, W-E, instead of I. So let me give you something about diplomacy, right? I don't think a lot of people know about. As diplomats, we are not allowed to say I ever, right? I does not exist in the dictionary because you're always representing something. And in the corporate world, same deal, because the minute you say we, you are creating a barrier and a distance between yourself and your audience. But you're a business owner. You want to connect with people. You want their money. You want to work with them. You want them to choose you. So you should be saying I. So the personal brand is all about putting yourself in front of your business, representing your business, and actually being a human who other people can connect to. Because if people know you, they would want to work with you, right?
Yes, yes. But one of the things I think that's very interesting when you start talking about the I versus we, and I love that perspective, is really about how do you ensure you're not coming across as I did this all by myself. I didn't have work, but I didn't have anybody working for me, helping me, guiding me, helping to get this done as a collective. How do you ensure that it's not arrogant and that it is collaborative so that people know that you're not trying to take credit for their work?
Oh, that's a really good question. And the easiest way to answer that is say my team and I, right? You're still I, but think about it, right? Decisions, you're making decisions. The vision is coming from you. You're the person who created this business. Without you, none of this is going to work. Even if you have a team of like 50 people and you're behind the scenes, the reason why people want to work with this company is still because of you, because you've built that relationship. So don't just start to say, well, because it's a team and I have all of these people, I'm not allowed to say I anymore. Own it. Absolutely own it. This is your business.
You
Don't
know,
be
I
shy.
love that. My team and I, so that you're not losing that identity,
Mhm.
you know, as you continue to move forward. What has been your experience as you have really looked at entrepreneurs? I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years, and I'm really interested in learning more about your perspective because I love that different uniqueness, things
Yeah.
that we're always told that we can't do, and what you're reiterating is what we can do. So I really want to understand a little bit more about those techniques. How do we embrace more of it so we don't lose ourselves?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm using the same techniques for my entrepreneurs as I did with politicians and diplomats. So when I used to work with these individuals with big money, big title, big statuses, sometimes I can't even say their names. You have to call them Your Excellency until they say, "Okay, please call me Robert." I'm like, "Fine, now you've given me an invitation to actually use your first name. Thank you." Uh, but you got to break the walls down first, right? There's a reason why you started this path. It may have been on purpose, like this was something that you intentionally built,
Mhm.
or you stumbled across it completely by accident, right? You just happened to become an entrepreneur because life has other like purposes for you, but there still is a fundamental reason why you started this business, right? You
Mhm.
could have chosen anything on earth, but you chose it to work on this very specific thing. Guess what? People are really interested to actually hear about that. So it's not just about, well, I don't want to talk about myself and I don't want to talk about my personal life and I want to be private. People just want to know why did you start this business? And that's like the basic. That's the most basic information you can give about you and your business. And then talk about your challenges. Like, okay, so there's a catalyst that happened before this business became a thing. What happened before then that made you go, this is the thing that I need to do? Because that's relatable, super interesting. And you could actually inspire other people just like you by sharing that very specific story. So it's that superhero thing, right? The superhero became a superhero for a reason. And I
Yeah,
would do the same thing. This is the exact same.
exactly.
Yeah. And I did that with politicians and diplomats. And Vicky, these people would be crying to me, right? Talking about, oh my God, I haven't thought about this in 30 years. And you're making me remember and remind myself why I wanted to join this cause. Same thing applies for small business owners.
So let me ask this question. You know, it's when you're starting a business and you're going through it, and you spoke about this at the very beginning. One of the things we talk about is that, you can have commodity where everybody's doing it and everybody's saying it and they're all doing the same thing. How do you truly ensure that you're differentiating yourself when you talk about that personal brand that wants to invite people in so you can move forward?
Yeah, so I think again, a lot of entrepreneurs are guilty of this. I always ask these individuals, my clients, do you know who are your competitors? And do you know how many people say, I don't have any competition. I'm so unique. It's like, oh, that's complete BS. There are competitors. The reason why you're saying you have no competitors is because you don't know how to talk about your business. You don't know how to talk about the value that you provide to your clients. You don't know the problems that you're fixing and the solutions you're bringing to your clients. And that's the fundamental structure of a personal brand. So, because you don't know how to articulate that, of course, you don't know who your competitors are because you don't know how to search for them. So, one of the things that I do as part of my 100-day personal brand process is let's check out your competitors. And at a minimum, Vicky, I look at 100 competitors minimum. right? I will be analyzing, like last week, I was analyzing like 180 candle makers because my competitor said, I've got about 5 or 6 competitors. No, I found 180 direct competitors. The ones you should be looking out for are the 50 that I'm putting on this, analysis, and the 7 you need to watch out for are the ones that we're going to analyze. And we look at their website, how they show up on social media, how people are talking about them on Google. And then your competitors actually share a lot of secrets that you can actually use to your advantage, because they could be doing some really great things, but they could be doing some really awful, shameful things that you don't want your business to replicate. And this is how we find the golden threads of, right, now we know how we can differentiate you from your competitors, because most of the case, Vicki, your competitors won't have a personal brand. And that is the first differentiator. You have to build on your personal brand to be completely different from those 180 competitors, because none of them are doing that at all.
That's a very, very interesting perspective. And when you talk about looking at competition and understanding it, when you say you can find 100, I mean, it's like, I don't doubt that, because there's so many people who want to do the exact same thing. And what they're really trying to figure out is, how do I make somebody want to come to me versus going to someone else? I'm a firm believer there's enough pie out there for all of us. We can have a slice. We all have a different journey. We all have a different experiences, which is part of what makes us unique in our story as we continue to move forward. So it's always important to be able to talk about my differences, because you didn't live the same life I led. You didn't do the same things I did, didn't have the exact same experiences. So I love how you are talking about really looking at that. We're going to take a station break. And when we come back, I really want to explore more about your process of actually identifying my competition. We'll be right back.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse, and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now. Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Are you on Medicaid and in need of bladder control and incontinence products? Then stay tuned for a free offer from Active Style. At Active Style, we understand your needs and offer convenient home delivery of incontinence products for children and adults. And they may be available at no cost to you if you're Medicaid eligible. Our products have a super absorbent core that locks away wetness to keep you dry.
If you're on Medicaid, call now for your free sample.
¿Tiene un carro, camioneta o SUV viejo en su casa? Aunque funcione y piense que es chatarra, usted puede llamar al número en pantalla y donarlo a Susan G. Komen para ayudar a salvar una vida. Nuestro personal calificado va hasta su domicilio a recogerlo de forma totalmente gratis. La donación de su automóvil, camioneta o SUV viejo ayuda a apoyar a las personas afectadas por el cáncer de mama, así como también al trabajo vital de Komen en investigación, atención al paciente y educación. Necesitamos su ayuda. Tal vez considere que su auto viejo es chatarra o que no vale nada, pero ese auto no deseado es importante para que Susan G. Komen continúe ayudando a las personas con cáncer de mama. Llame al número en pantalla hoy. Iremos a recoger su auto rápidamente. También recibirá una deducción de impuestos por su donación caritativa. Ayúdenos a ayudar. Llame ya.
Well, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And if you're just now coming in, boy, do we have a great guest today. Talene Raymond Figueroa has truly given us a different perspective on personal branding. So I want to pick up with where we were, Talene, when we were talking before we took the station break, and help me understand a little bit more about this competition and finding a competition. If I'm just a competitor, if I'm just trying to understand who they are, can you give me a few tips on what that looks like, on how to do that?
All right. So how many of you Google yourself? That's the first thing. Have you ever Googled yourself, Vicki?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Okay. So how many other Vicki Wright Hamiltons are there in the world?
You know, it's when I Google myself, I see a lot of, what I'm doing, but I do know that there are a lot of people that offer the same services. I think the difference is again, my journey and how I got to where I am offering my services.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why I asked about your name, because that is your biggest personal brand asset. Your name has so much weight. But then, of course, if you have a name that is, Jane Smith, and you just happen to be a fitness consultant, that makes it a little bit more trickier. And this is where your personal brand and your challenges and your story makes a really massive impact, because you want to attract people that you actually want to work with. So when you're looking at your competition, your name is the first thing you should look into, because you don't want to be confused with another person with the exact same name. And I've actually have clients who were in this very same situation. I'll give you a funny story. It's not funny to her, but it's funny to me. The first thing that I tell my clients is make sure that you secure a domain name with your full name with .com at the end. Easiest way to protect yourself. Unfortunately, a client of mine was too late, and I Googled her name just in the, just on the internet. Oh, Vicki, porn stars took her name. And it's like, that is the worst case situation. And she was in it. So her name was already taken. And then the other thing that you want to do is, okay, what industry or what niche are you in? So I mentioned, fitness coach. There's a million fitness coaches out there, right? Forget about just Google. You can go to TikTok. You can go to Instagram. Just check out fitness coach and see how many people shoot up. So the next thing you want to do is, okay, who are the real serious players? So you want to look at, where they're located, how many followers they have, how much engagement they have. Are they actually serious on it? Like if they're not posting every day, ignore them because they're not very serious. Now, if they're posting every day, those are the people you want to look out for. Even if they have like less than 100 followers, you still want to look out for them because they're up and coming, they're emerging. And then on Google, you can easily get a list of like, fitness coaches, like boom, boom, boom. First in your local area and then everywhere else. So again, how you differentiate who's serious and who could be taking your clients away from you versus people who are just doing it for fun is their website, right? Does it look like a polished website with real actual information that is actually being monetized? Or is it just a cute little website going, hey, I'm a fitness coach? That's it. There's no action behind it. So those are some of the things that I look out for.
It's really interesting. That must take a whole lot of time in terms of getting the data and getting this perspective, but you're absolutely right. It becomes really important to be able to distinguish. Do you see any differences between men and women when it comes to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, I'm just going to throw it out there, right? We have 24-hour cycle, but unfortunately, the 24-hour cycle that we're working in work really, really well for men because men's energy levels are, consistent. They're constant. They don't have cycles like us women do, unfortunately, us women have to stick with the same 24-hour grind and hustle culture as men. So as women, we have to be, again, this is a topic that not a lot of women talk about, and I'm actively talking about now. Honor your cycle. We have 4 parts in our cycle, right? There's going to be parts where you just don't want to do anything. You don't want to pick up the phone. You don't want to have these conversations with people. You just want to be in your own bubble. And this is where you're at your most creative, where you want to strategize, you want to plan, you want to just think and process things. But then there's other times when you have such crazy level of energy, you feel like superwoman, and this is where you get things done. So this is how men and women work differently, but I don't think a lot of women actually honor this process that is very internal to us. And as a result, women experience a lot of burnout very quickly because we're stuck in this same 24-hour hustle and grind culture. So that's the first thing. The second thing is specifically in marketing, there's a lot of men in marketing, and a lot of men just don't understand women. So, they miss the social cues. They don't read the room. When a woman says something, it's getting mansplained, in a way that they can understand. But for a woman, it's like, you're just repeating the same thing that I'm saying without adding any value. And I've had so many women clients that I've referred to like male like counterparts, and they come back to me and say, please never send me to them again. I want to work with women because they just didn't understand me. Now,
it's interesting. That reminds me of a story where I was sitting in a room and, in a boardroom, and I had made a suggestion. And about 5 minutes later, a man came along and he made the exact same perspective, right, of a suggestion. And I turned around to him and I said, Jim, thanks so much for reiterating the comment that I made 5 minutes ago. I couldn't agree with you more. So I definitely understand what that's like.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's really frustrating, right? When you feel like you're trying to get your point across and it's just not clicking. And then they have like a very cookie cutter kind of like solutions for that situation. Now, when working with men, on the other hand, a lot of the things that's missing working with men is how do I be vulnerable when that's not taught to me, right? In society, it's very hard for men to be vulnerable. It's very hard for men to show off their challenges and, their aha moment, because it's a point of vulnerability, which is critical when it comes to your personal brand. This is how you really do connect with people. Men just don't know how to show that off. And the men who do that, like the Alex Halmoses of the world, constantly talking about failures, but then how they overcame their failures with success stories. That's a really great way to say it's okay to it's okay to fail, because you're going to fail more than you succeed. You're going to only get one shot, but you have to fail 1,000 times to get that one shot, right?
Right.
Talk about that. And, because if you don't share those moments, you look subhuman, right? You look like you're a robot who's, again, the hustle and grind culture is so embedded in our society, specifically America. Americans are very hustle and grind, more than the UK is. But it leads to burnout. You get fed up very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that, when we talk about failing, my personal opinion is fail means first attempt in learning. And we continue to learn over and over again as we continue to move forward. Speaking of challenges, can you share with us in the last few minutes what challenges you have come across?
Yeah, so I'm constantly failing in public, Vicki, constantly. And this year has been really tricky because I just kept failing, and I just keep thinking, when am I going to stop failing and hit that basketball shot, right? So this year, I failed at Instagram 3 times. So I've got a brand new account, Boss Diplomat. It's brand new. I've got less than 100 followers. It's because I've tried 3 other times, and when you hire wrong, it could be detrimental to your business. When you follow the wrong strategies, it takes your business to a different route. And if you don't know what you're doing and you're winging it, it takes you somewhere else. So I've been trying a lot of different things, and all of it public. All of it public, so I can't hide anywhere. And then on top of that, I tried doing YouTube, and I've worked with several content strategies, and they just keep saying, you're really great at like explaining things, but my God, your hook is so bad. Like in the first 3 seconds, you're just like, you're not catching them. And that's all it takes, the first 3 seconds to catch someone's attention verbally, and then 7 seconds visually to even like give someone a second chance.
Yes.
It's so unfair. But when your personal brand is being tested and pushed, and you're failing in front of everyone, and you're just like, I just want to hide under the duvets and everyone please leave me alone. That's a moment of vulnerability. And I'm just being open about all of that because I know other people go through that same struggle. And I'm an expert in personal branding, making those mistakes. So now I'm able to show, you've seen my mistakes. Look, it's documented. There's evidence of my mistake. Here's what I did to fix it. And that's what you focus on.
And you know what? It's showing that vulnerability and then how you came about to fix it that makes you real, right? Because none of us are perfect. We all had to grow somewhere, right? We had to learn the way, we had to learn a process, we had to start over, etc. So being able to say, this is my story and this is where I failed. This is what I did wrong. This is where I improved. And this is how I learned to be able to help you not make the same mistakes I made, but to improve upon them, right? As we continue to move forward. So I appreciate the vulnerability. I appreciate the insights. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I really want to thank you, Talene Raham Figueroa, for being here. Boss diplomat, love it. And thank you so much for your time. I know you have shared some great things with our audience, and appreciate all of your insights. Thanks so much for tuning in to Ignite, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Investing in real estate doesn't have to be a pipe dream. But how do you find, analyze, renovate, finance investment properties without getting ripped off? My name's Andrew Glisson. In 4 short years, me and my team built a portfolio of 200 rental properties in multiple cities as a hobby while working full-time. We took all of that experience and built a mentorship program called the Victory Strategy to unlock every step of investing in real estate. If that sounds like the opportunity you've been waiting for, look us up at thevictorystrategy.com.
¿Tiene un carro, camioneta o SUV viejo en su casa? Aunque no funcione y piense que es chatarra, usted puede llamar al número en pantalla y donarlo a Susan G. Komen para ayudar a salvar una vida. Nuestro personal calificado va hasta su domicilio a recogerlo de forma totalmente gratis. La donación de su automóvil, camioneta o SUV viejo ayuda a apoyar a las personas afectadas por el cáncer de mama, así como también al trabajo vital de Komen en investigación, atención al paciente y educación. Necesitamos su ayuda. Tal vez considere que su auto viejo es chatarra o que no vale nada, pero ese auto no deseado es importante para que Susan G. Komen continúe ayudando a las personas con cáncer de mama. Llame al número en pantalla hoy y vamos a recoger su auto rápidamente. También recibirá una deducción de impuestos por su donación caritativa. Ayúdenos a ayudar. Llame ya.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
Call 877-930-3491. That's 877-930-3491. Again, 877-930-3491.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pick. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Hi, welcome back to Ignite. Boy, do I have a treat for you. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Ryan Kahn from CS Consulting. Welcome, Ryan.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Vicki, for having me.
Oh, it's my honor, and I know that you're going to share some great insights with the audience. I was so intrigued when I read all about you. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we got started, how you got started with CS Consulting. Would you mind sharing with the audience?
I don't mind at all. The story is a little different than the traditional entrepreneur. I really did not have any ideas or mindset of going into what I call the private sector or the entrepreneurial path. I was in law enforcement. I had designed my way. I got a bachelor's in science and criminal justice, hired onto an agency. I had a lot of success in that agency, but what really made kind of that pivotal change for me is the amount of training and skill development and education and leadership that our local agency provided me. I mean, really, it was just a deep well of knowledge and information. And so I used the advantages there to become very skilled and become an instructor and a leader and a sergeant and a SWAT team member and a SWAT team leader, firearms instructor. I ultimately did 17 different law enforcement disciplines where I was either an instructor, a trainer, or some type of certified professional, like a riot control commander and things like that. Well, eventually I had to leave that and go where the action is, taxes. So most people understand how did you go from firearms instructor and SWAT team to taxes? Yeah. And my father-in-law owned a business accounting firm that I'm now the president of. And he was growing and he was experiencing all the growing pains that you would generally think. Too many employees to manage personally, a lot of clients coming in and the demands and the workflow and trying to satisfy the different staff, generational gaps to, different cultures and life backgrounds. And so he would constantly ask me questions. Hey, you've been to the FBI school, you've been to the international school, you've been to this and that. And he said, what do I need to do here? And my typical response was, oh, yeah, just go do A, B, and C, and everything will work out. And I would answer his issues over a dinner or something like that. And then he would go and he'd forget what A was. He would get B done halfway, and then he'd try C, and he would screw it up because he didn't have the background. So finally, after a couple of years of really getting into the friction, he made me an opportunity to partner up with him and come be the operational partner, the leadership workflow style. And since then, we have quadrupled revenue. We have doubled our staff, and we've reduced our book of business by 23%, all at the same time. So, I mean, most people would take any one of those numbers. We were able to do all three. And in tracking our journey, CS Business Consulting was born. And I said, if I can do this for ourselves, well, then I need to be doing this for other people and helping them out too. The heart of the servant in my law enforcement career came out into the business realm. So we ended up becoming serial entrepreneurs. I operate primarily 2 large businesses and about 6 other smaller businesses, property companies, investment companies, and some other training things like that. And that led me into the journey where the number one problem we're facing as successful leaders is not an economy. It's not a lack of education or resources. it's leadership.
You know, that's a very, very interesting perspective because you're absolutely right. You know, when we talk about leadership, people do the work, not the organizations. And we really have to understand what it means to lead others, you know, in terms of moving forward. But I was very interested in, and I appreciate all that background, especially with law enforcement and then going into business. You know, when you think about what you're doing today from a business perspective and helping others, and we talk about the training you had. Can you give the audience a little bit of the correlation between, you know, being an SWAT and an officer and how that truly translates? I think a lot of people don't look at their previous experience and actually think about the benefits they can bring to the table. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Sure. And that was one thing that I'll just be very transparent, really shocked me is, I did not even have a comprehension for how much crossover there would actually be. And everything from understanding how to create team structure and the mindset of everybody has a job and you're responsible for that primary job, but you need to know what everyone else's jobs are. So in case somebody drops the ball, you're there to pick it up. Somebody calls in sick, we can all execute and fill that gap. And then we rely on each other and we have this teamwork. For example, on a SWAT team, or maybe if I was an active shooter instructor as well, you're going into these most dangerous, high risk situations. And if people aren't doing their job, well, then possibly the worst case scenario can happen. You could get into situations where somebody gets shot or even killed. Civil, we violate the law and we don't execute a search warrant the proper way, and there's major repercussions not only for the departments but people's lives. Now, we're not playing with lives every day, we're playing with money, which is very important to a lot of people. In some situations people worry more about that than oftentimes their own families, sadly, and that's a defect.
Yeah.
But the translation to saying, hey, we need to build a team where everyone works towards a common vision, they show up to accomplish the mission every day, and they understand that they are part of a bigger team. And they're going to do their part with great effort, improved efficiency, and a positive attitude so that we know we are all supporting each other. That is a big thing. On the SWAT team, you go into a building and let's say you're serving a high risk search warrant on a murder suspect. Okay. You have to go clear this building in a matter of seconds, 10, 20, 30 seconds sometimes, or even less, or you have to be really methodical and it might take you an hour to move 20 feet, right? And so everyone has to do their job, everyone has to fill their gap, and everyone has to be able to communicate efficiently. Well, how does that change if you're an accounting firm? How does that change if you're on a sports team? How does that change if you're in the CEO, the C-suite? But it doesn't change. Everyone has to do their job, has to be positive, rely on their teammates and be a good teammate, and then communicate efficiently all along the way. The structure is the only thing that changes, and there's way structure as well.
Well, and you're right. It's as you begin to think about the structure of an organization and a leader and who they're following and do your job, etc. But as you mentioned, we're not talking life or death. And when you are in law enforcement, you have to follow it to a T because you are speaking about life and death. How do you get your leaders to actually embrace when someone is not doing their job and really being willing to address it? Is it something that you automatically say they're not doing their job, they got to go? We got to find somebody new. How do you embrace that? Because it seems like that is something that you can bring to the table that a lot of other people cannot.
Sure. So one thing that I do, especially when we're in the realm of accountability, is at first look in the mirror and you have to be self-accountable before anything else. You have to take ownership of your position and your responsibilities. So as a leader, one of your responsibilities is to oversee the activities and production of others. So you can't just let things slide by. Most people are motivated in some capacity. They either want a raise, they want more responsibility, they want an opportunity to travel or learn a skill. And so you have those conversations on the front end. I have a methodology that I call keeping short accounts. So keeping short accounts means if somebody does something well, we don't wait 6 months to tell them they did a good job. We do it early. If somebody did something annual eval, to bring it up and blindside them. We keep that short account and try to keep things tight knit, and so there's no surprises in the long run. We also set the standards and set the expectations and the boundaries in the beginning. Hey, on day one, here's your general job responsibilities. Here's an introduction to all the software and components and things you're going to be doing. And here's your expectations on how to perform. We know you're going to screw up in the beginning. We want you to tighten it up over time and eventually be a high achiever. Once you reach the standard of high achiever, of which we will check in on often, then we can graduate you to the next level. So there's an expectation on day one that says, and by the way, Johnny over here is going to be checking on you, and Susie's going to be following after you and basically editing or reviewing your work. So these two people are going to report back to me, set them up for success so that I can then provide you more success and more opportunity. If you lay all that out in the beginning, it's then easy to have the conversation that says, hey, remember I was going to check on you? Hey, you forgot to cross a T here and you forgot to dot an I there. Go ahead and fix that and it'll be okay. Then when you get the redundancy of mistakes, you want to provide more training. You want to provide more conversations. So there's a few conversations you have, right? There's a crucial conversation and a critical conversation. A crucial conversation just has to happen for general performance. A critical conversation comes in when you're like, hey, negative results will happen if the objective of this conversation is not achieved. And people are afraid of those conversations. So upfront expectations and boundaries, upfront job responsibilities and laying out a platform for success, telling what it takes to achieve that success, and then not being afraid of those crucial or critical conversations when they come up.
And that's probably the hardest, right? Is getting in the mindset that having those crucial and critical conversations, especially for people who may be a little bit more conflict averse. And it's very hard for them to adjust to that and that mindset and being able to recognize that we're not doing anybody any favors when we're not talking about what's not going well, because they're probably frustrated too, feeling as though I'm not doing as much as I could, or I'm not getting as much out of this as I want to from my passions and the things that I enjoy as well. So I think it's really important as you identify, just as you're doing, around those leadership concepts. We're going to take a station break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about challenges. We'll be right back.
Investing in real estate doesn't have to be a pipe dream. But how do you find, analyze, renovate, finance investment properties without getting ripped off? My name's Andrew Glisson. In 4 short years, me and my team built a portfolio of 200 rental properties in multiple cities as a hobby while working full-time. We took all of that experience and built a mentorship program called the Victory Strategy to unlock every step of investing in real estate. If that sounds like the opportunity you've been waiting for, look us up at thevictorystrategy.com.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Llama a tu amigo Trip Amigo. Una llamada a Trip Amigo te consigue el billete más barato a cualquier destino. Solo dinos a dónde quieres ir y Trip Amigo busca entre cientos de miles de ofertas disponibles en billetes aéreos y hospedaje también. Nuestros clientes ahorran hasta el 75% en las tarifas aéreas y reservaciones de hoteles. Llama ahora mismo. Tu amigo Trip Amigo te consigue los mejores precios de billetes aéreos y hotel.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now, you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Welcome back. And if you haven't been watching us, you have been missing a treat. I am so glad to have Ryan Kahn from CS Consulting here. And boy, is giving us a lot on leadership to think about. So Ryan, before we left for the station break, we were talking a little bit about leadership and what we needed to do and the components we had to think about as we're leading others. I would love to discuss what challenges that you have seen from doing your work from leadership perspective.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one I get often. So as I travel around the country and people hire me to come in and help them with their personal leadership and with their teams and their company, probably the number one thing I see is that the owner or the top leader or leadership positions, the partners and others, they're in their own way. And they need to learn to get out of their own way. And let me give you the metaphor that I use with most people. So think about one of these autonomous driving electric cars, right? So we all probably can pick a name brand off the top of our head. But once you pass the test to get this car going, I have a very good friend and client of mine. He was the first one I knew that had one. And he told us the funny story when he drove it by the office to show it off. He says, man, when this thing first took off, because I was gripping that steering wheel, white knuckled, and I was fighting the car, and it was trying to drive, and it was giving me warnings. And then finally, after a day or two, I really wasn't holding on the steering wheel. I was grabbing onto it. And, if we came up to a big turn, well, I would, brace for the turn, but the car had it. The car had it under control. And eventually, by the second week, he says, man, I was sitting there reading books, checking my phone, doing whatever, and the car was efficiently driving itself. And he made the note that said it could have done that from day one the whole time. So what I see constantly in organizations is leaders, when they have the opportunity to delegate or create teams and systems, they still want to hold on to that steering wheel. And they have a very difficult time letting go of their baby, letting go of this business that they've built, and letting it efficiently and effectively drive itself. Now, the law says you have to have a sober and licensed driver behind the wheel the whole time. And that principle goes along with business ownership as well. You have to stay in the vehicle. You have to stay aware. You have to be able to grab a hold if something really chaotic happens. A deer jumps in your way, somebody cuts you off in traffic, the human needs to step up and interact. Play that metaphor to your business. Let your people that you have trained well and hired well and supplied well do a great job, and only jump in when it's time to swerve or adjust for an emergency. Then you get to work on your business and look at all the future vision things and not be working in your business. So getting out of your own way is the first thing that I see. And then the second thing I see is a twofold, two sides of a coin. One, the leader has not provided a clear vision of where we as a company or where we as a team are going, or the people are rejecting the vision or haven't properly accepted where we're going because they don't understand maybe that, hey, if we get to this vision, all ships lift with a rising tide. They don't realize that this is going to benefit me. It's going to benefit my workflow, my personal freedom. Maybe we'll get all increases in money. We made a big shift in our company a few years ago to take on some of the serious changes in the CARES Act and the work that was going on throughout the company. And we told people, hey, we need to buckle down. This is the vision we have as a result of taking on all this new work. And when we make money, you make money. And the end result was about a 1.5 year grind to fully adapt and take off in the system. And at the end of that year and a half, we rewarded our people, and they all nodded and smiled and says, you guys are keeping your word. And we all made more money, and all the workload got better, and all the clients got better, and they saw the vision, and they're ready to capture any vision we provide to them in the future, because they realize that we're going to take them in the right direction.
Well, you bring up something, Ryan, that I think is really, really important. I'd love to get your perspective on it. And that's this thing around fear, where people are fearful of making change. What are you seeing around fear, and how do you guide leaders when it comes to fear?
Gotcha. So I love fear and I hate fear, and I identify two different kinds of fear. So you heard me mention briefly that, people are afraid to let go of the steering wheel. They're worried that it's going to crash, right? They're worried that something's going to crash. The people are afraid to step into the vision because there's the fear of the unknown. I don't know how my job is going to change, how my workload is going to change. I'm comfortable with my current level of chaos, right? I exist comfortably in my own disgruntled current status. Well, I don't want to change my current difficult status for a different difficult status because I like this one, right? I like my current misery. And so what we have to do is we have to recognize there is a healthy fear. There is a fear of respect. There is a fear of recognizing danger. For example, when a rattlesnake shakes his tail, the appropriate response to that fear would be to slowly back away and take a different path. Okay. But the fear of you're on a 6-foot diving board and you're afraid something may go wrong, so you don't jump in the pool, you miss out on the fun and you miss out on all the aquatic activities and make no memories with your friends, right? And in the business world, without appropriate calculated risk and moving forward it's healthy to respect the fear of a changing market and of tough times. But if you're betting on yourself and you're betting on your team that regardless of what the future holds, we're going to outwork the problem and succeed, then fear becomes almost a non-issue. And you can start making the healthy calculated risks more rapidly and more decisively, and therefore get more growth, more bandwidth, more success, more profit. And so teaching that to your people, hey, this is going to be scary. You have to say the words out loud. Hey, there's some fear involved here. We don't have the unknown. We're taking on a new endeavor. We're taking on a whale of a client that could be a make it or break it type situation. But here's what it's going to take. In order to dispel fear, you have to clearly paint the vision of where we're all going. You have to make sure that you're checking the boxes and you are accomplishing the daily mission consistently. Mm-hmm. And that fear will dispel baby step by baby step. And the last metaphor I'll make about fear is all of us at some point, and shoot, some of us as adults still are afraid of the dark. Okay. We've all been afraid of the dark at some point, but we worked over that fear. We left a light on in the closet. Then we cracked the door till there was less light. And then we reduced it down to a little night light. And then we only left a distant light on in the kitchen, in the house, so that there's and eventually we learned how to live and maneuver and be more comfortable with the dark. But we did it in baby steps by slowly reducing the fear over time until we were comfortable existing in what was once a terrifying situation.
It's interesting because when we talk about calculated risk, I've had many conversations and we say, well, what's really calculated? And really about weighing the pros and the cons and really understanding at the end of the day, the impact. What is the risk and what is the impact? So that we make sure that we're doing it in a way that our decisions, we understand what those potential ramifications can be, right? In terms of making that decision and moving forward. Have you seen that some leadership styles are more adverse to others as you've been moving forward? Anything on that guidance you can provide?
Definitely. So, let me make two comments. One is, in order to make a calculated risk, I make a funny statement. In order to calculate a risk, you have to understand math, right? You have to know how to calculate something. And what I mean is you have to know your industry. So if I said I want to enter real estate and start flipping houses, I should probably know something about the real estate market and remodeling and construction, right? Where if I don't, if I've only sat here and done accounting my entire life, have zero idea on how to actually repair and maintain and remodel a house, I'm probably not going to calculate my risk very accurately. So understand, quote unquote, understand math, understand the market and the industry you're in. As far as the leadership styles that I see more trouble with, I probably would have to say the two extremes of one, people that are high people pleasers. Okay. They have high people pleaser attitudes. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to make changes or tell somebody that, hey, you're going to have to get uncomfortable, work a little harder, work a little differently. You're going to have to shift workstations in order to make the team more efficient. They don't like doing those things, and therefore they don't make those risky decisions or those friction-based decisions. And then we lack in progress. And there's some top tier leaders that are high people pleasers. And when the getting is good and the climate is calm, it's okay to be a people pleaser, and we can kind of keep handing things out. But those decisive moments, the people pleasers usually get into gridlock, right? And then I see the other people. I see the highly charismatic people, the more command-based people. Sometimes they might have like a military background, or they might just came up through like an executive family that's been a family of executives for years, and they don't mind making decision after decision after decision. But if we're changing for the sake of change, or if we're ever getting into the just do what I say because it'll all work out, then we're destroying trust. And we have to make sure that even if we are capable and we are comfortable of making decision after decision in crisis and in calm, there's always the need to explain a why, to connect it to the vision, and to show how it benefits the daily vision and the whole team and the whole company all together. And if we get into that command dictator situation, we really start to wear our people out. That's awesome in a crisis. It truly is awesome in a crisis and in a pinch. But if it's that way all the time, you need some self-awareness, some emotional intelligence, and know when to back it down.
You know, and you brought up some very important characteristics. And I think as our listeners are thinking about leadership, understanding all of those components you just mentioned are extremely important to make sure that we have success as we're continuing to move forward, because it is hard. This is not easy stuff. If it were easy, everybody could do it. But there are adjustments that we have to make, and there's reasons why we are the way we are, whether we're a people pleaser or not, but it's being able to adjust to be able to handle those things as you move forward. Ryan, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I can't tell you how happy I am that I've had the opportunity to speak with you today. I know my listeners got a lot of value, you know, as we think about the components of leadership and moving forward. I want to thank you so much for being here.
It is my pleasure entirely. Thank you for the opportunity, and it was great to have this conversation. I hope people can benefit from it.
I'm sure they will. Well, I look forward to talking to you on the next episode of Ignite. See you then.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Investing in real estate doesn't have to be a pipe dream. But how do you find, analyze, renovate, finance investment properties without getting ripped off? My name's Andrew Glisson. In 4 short years, me and my team built a portfolio of 200 rental properties in multiple cities as a hobby while working full-time. We took all of that experience and built a mentorship program called the Victory Strategy to unlock every step of investing in real estate. If that sounds like the opportunity you've been waiting for, look us up at victorystrategy.com.
What if you could make a free phone call and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Right now, you could be paying as high as 20% interest. Your new interest rate could be reduced to as low as 2.48%. You can refinance any existing car loan or leased car and save money every month. Take 5 minutes of your time right now. Make this free phone call and learn how to save hundreds of dollars a year by refinancing your existing car loan.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you. Call 800-749-7781. That's 800-749-7781. Call now.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local